Welcome to the True Demon Lord show. I am the True Demon Lord, Franco, and today we're going to be looking at top 5 Chaos Demon units, in my opinion. So we're going to go through them from 5 to 1, just talking about them, why I think they sit there, why they are in that position, and why I think they do come in as some of our best units. This could definitely fluctuate with a few different units coming in and out. I do think we've got a few units that can definitely fight in these top 5 spots, but these are just the top 5 that I've just picked on with. But of course, this is my opinion. It will be different to other people's, probably to yours, because I guess it is quite subjective as well due to personal preference and play style. But this is, like I said, a top 5 right now in the current state of the game, in my opinion. So it is an opinion based off of, a lot of practice, testing, and experience with demons. But of course, I can just keep going on about this all day. It is going to differentiate to everyone else's. And if you have different opinions, please let me know. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because again, we all have our own opinions. Tell me why you like other units, why maybe units I think sit in the top 5 don't in yours, in your opinion. And then we can have cool, friendly demon debates. So let's go straight into this. This is being filmed after the data slate. I filmed this like twice before the data slate, changing it. And then I thought, nah, I'll wait till after the data slate, because what's the point? Not knowing what we were going to get, because there's 2 units in here that I thought would end up coming out of it, but they didn't get touched, so they stayed in it. There was 2 units that did get touched, in a good way, as much as that sounds wrong, but they stayed in it again. Oh, sorry, 1 got touched in a good way, 1 got touched in a bad way, but we'll go into it and you'll know what units I'm talking about. Before we carry on and get into it, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps out massively, helps the channel grow, and allows me to keep going and keep helping and sharing my mountains and mountains of demon knowledge with everyone, and just trying to help all my fellow denizens of the warp out. So, sitting at number 5 is a Red Master. I debated pulling him out because of the point rise he just got. So, he was at 150 pre-data slate. He is now at 165 post-data slate. And so I did debate, do I pull him out? Has he dropped out of this? Do I replace him with something else? And I decided no. I decided to keep him I think he was sitting off, I can't remember where I had him sitting. Anyway, he comes in at 5 now, in my opinion, because they are still really good. I've seen people recently go, oh, they weren't that good anyway, so now I definitely don't take them at 165, and that baffled me. Like I said, I am massive on different opinions. I've always based this channel on my opinion, your opinion. I will not tell you something. I will give you my opinion on it and then let you kind of take that and then see how it goes for yourself. But yeah, this is the one where I was like, how are you saying Ren Masters were bad? They were never bad. They're amazing. Any unit that can make a pretty mediocre unit actually feel half decent is a really good unit. And a unit I'm giving a dig at is Bloodletters. If you follow the channel, you know I'm not a big fan of Bloodletters. I haven't been for a long time. Even in 9th edition. For me, they just never, like, they've got a cool attack profile, but I just always get a bit baffled by what seems to be like a lack of attacks for Khorne. And 2 attacks each can definitely swing both ways. But the Ren Master buffing it, giving it, making them strength 6 minus 3/3 damage is pretty nuts on troop units. But this isn't about Bloodletters, this is about Ren Masters. But they make Bloodletters feel half decent. They turn your Flesh Hounds into like pseudo fiends. They make Blood Crushers better. They make Bloodthirsters better. They make Scarbrand better. They make themselves better. Like, they make everything in Khorne do the job that they want to do better, which is punch things in the face in combat. On top of that, T9, 9 wounds, 4 up invuln. Like, they are pretty, like, they're a good little profile for what you get. And they're not too bad in combat themselves. I mean, the Herald on top is chucking out 5 attacks at 6-3. He can like buff, debuff or buff against a unit he's attacking and become 7-3-4. That's a good little precision profile if you spend the CP for Epic Challenge. And then he's got a couple Bloodletters on there. And then again, against characters and monsters, he gets to roll the wound roll and gets a heal as well. He does if he kills any of them. So not bad. It's not a bad. I still think they're really good at 165. I don't know how many you're taking at 165. I think if you're taking monocorn, I still think 2 is a good number. Maybe not 3, maybe 2. I think if you're taking a large corn detachment, your demon list, then still 1 is fine. They're still really good. They're still really good at 165. It felt like a really out of nowhere point hike, because though they are taking a lot of lists, and they are good. I thought they were always good anyway, as did pretty much everyone else. They were not one I was expecting. Like, when I was really thinking about it, I went with what I believe were the most logical choices, both from just thinking and looking at lists, while also factoring in GW's kind of style. And I guess, their style of, this is taking a lot, so let's up it because it's clearly a bit too good, which is a bit of a flawed way to look at things. It did apply here to Red Masters. I just saw Blood Crushers and Ground Clean ones as their potential problem units, but no. But yeah, so I still think the Red Master fits in 5. They're still really, really good. If you're running a lot of corn, I don't really like corn units. I like flesh hounds, but for utility, excuse me, I don't like bloodletters. I like crushers. They can be swingy, but I like them. But to be honest, I like them for them to be able to bring something down with the mortals and then being able to just tie things up. It's not even from a more of a combat aspect. I'm not a fan of. I like Scarbrand. He's actually quite decent, but I hate Bloodthirsters. But I love the Bloodmaster. I think the Bloodmaster is genuinely my favorite non-lone up, non-monster character, because he's just really good. He doesn't come in this top 5, but he definitely could have. He's one of those units that could have maybe. I kind of wish I did put him in here now, but he's not. But we went with the Red Master. I still think the Red Master is really good. Still does a lot of work for corn lists and lists that have a fair bit of corn. On to number 4, I have gone with Pallbearers because I love them. They are pretty good for what you get. 110 points gives you 10 guys that are T5, 2 wins, 5 up Invuln. Pretty good profile. They are battle line, so if they battle shock your shadows, passing it with a +1, they'll get the models back. That's bad. Obviously, they are leadership 6 with the icon. They get +1 the charge, which is bad if they want to try and swamp something on an objective. But then they also have inbuilt sticky. So if they hold an objective at the end of your command phase, that objective becomes sticky. Now that means they're very good for holding the backfield at the early game, sticky in it, and then going up with Realm of Chaos and coming back down. They're really good with Denizens of the Warp for the 3 deep strike, being able to deny objectives, string along and body move block, screen, all that kind of stuff. And they are pretty tough. Like, yes, they can be wiped out by units that are dedicated for combat or like a bunch of shots, especially a load of damage 2 shots. But they are actually a bit of a pain to chew through, aside from those units that can do immense amounts of damage. Yeah, I really like them. And also, against a lot of things, they will win that war of attrition. Like, if you charge a Rhino with these dudes, it will take them 3 to 4 turns, but they'll kill them. Like, maybe not even 4 turns. I've killed a Rhino in, I think it was 4 rounds of combat, so 2 turns, by just tagging it and my opponent not wanting to fall it back because they didn't want to potentially lose it, with Desperate Breakout, so I just held it there. And they also didn't want me to be able to action or bring the unit up, so I just sat there on an objective holding it. And eventually, just because of lethal hits and the -1, just getting through it, I've had these dudes with Roticus's +1 damage buff, as well as Plague Drone rerolls to wound, doing Helbrecht and his and some Crusader dudes. Sword Brethren. They also had a Scrivener in there, so they were sustain and lethaling, and they rolled a crap ton of sixes, so they got a load of lethals and a bunch of sustained on top of that. And then they were wounding on, I think, threes, because I think I'd made a -1 toughness. So again, we're sacking a lot of buffs, debuffs here, but it's the same you do with Bloodletters for Khorne. The fact that you had the Bloodmaster and the fact that you have the Master. People love that, so why can't we love these debuffs? I mean, Nurgle, they won't put out like that massive hammer of damage, but they will hit you over the head with a blunt object until you just eventually fall over. And so yeah, I just really, really like them. Um, I think in your standard list, you're taking 1 unit of these, if not 2 units, maybe. But I think the Nurgle list is incredibly underrated. Um, and I think 40 to 50 of these guys are not a bad shout. I keep really, really wanting to run them. Go back to the days of 9th or 8th and 9th when we used to run crap tons of them. I remember running between 60 and 120, and I loved it, and I missed those days massively, and I will forever hate GW for taking away my horde, taking away my favorite play style and making it very hard. But either way, I think Pallbearers are definitely a great unit. I see people slag them off, which is weird, because I think they're amazing. I see people say Demonettes are better than these. That's a really weird one. I'm seeing a lot of people defend Demonettes at the moment when I talk bad about them, I guess. Saying they're amazing and you can't drop their points because if you drop their points anymore, they'll become spammable. And I'm just like, okay, again, I big up opinions in that, but I'm like, how do people rate Demonettes at 100 points for 10? I don't get it. 10 more points, you get Pallbearers. You lose out on a bit of speed and you're not getting devs, but you're infinitely more tougher. You have inbuilt sticky, and yes, you're not going to kill as many things in combat, but you will still kill stuff in combat. Like, they are actually probably deceivingly better than they should be in combat. But yes, I love the Pallbearers. They're amazing. Going into 3, we get to controversial territory now. This is going to be split. Because I know there's people that don't like her. I know there's people that do like her. I know there's people on the fence. I am in the camp that I do like her, though. I did drop her. I wanna. When did I drop? Going into Pariah, she came out on my list after like one event, only because I just felt like I needed. With Pariah, scoring changed. It became a little bit harder to score points and stuff because of the way actions now work. And I just felt I wanted more points to spread around. So therefore, I dropped her because 450 points is a lot of points to spend. So she is amazing. She is the most consistent damage dealer in the entire index period. Nothing in the index, aside from maybe Blood Crushers if they just overshoot their impact mortals and then have some Master buffs, does the damage that she does. And going down to 425 feels a little bit minimal, but actually is not bad. 425 is quite nice. Again, I have people moaning at me about the whole comparison thing, but I like to do the comparison thing. And comparing her to the likes of Angron, who went up to 435, or Magnus, who went up to 65, as that kind of centerpiece, key, killy monster that's going to do the immense amount of damage. Shaxi is kind of that for us. Like I said, nothing will do as much damage as her. Again, I see people saying she's not that tough, and I'm like, maybe I just have really cursed models, because people big up the Bloodthirster. He kills everything he touches. He makes all the charges. Yet mine doesn't kill anything, and mine never makes charges. And then people say, oh well, my Shaxi falls over in one turn, and yet my Shaxi will tank turns of like entire armies, and then just keep going and going and going. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not good with Khorne, but I'm very good with Slaanesh. But yeah, no, I love Shaxi. You know, the shooting has insane amount of potential damage. Insane amount. The amount of times I've punked out tank predators, rhinos, war dogs and armigers with Pavane and the lash, mostly Pavane. And I mean, it requires you to roll a 5 or a 6 on the shots, and then a good few amount of 6s on the hits to giving you sustain 3 per 6. And then also getting a few devastating wounds as well. But it has that potential. The amount of times I've picked up 12 wound vehicles, 11 wound vehicles, whatever, with Pavane and the Lash, has been scary amounts of times. Like it's happened a fair few times. And then also you really need to kill multiple big targets in a turn. You can do it a combination of shooting and combat, rerolling hits, wounds, and damage rolls against monster vehicles and character units. And remember, it's character units. So if a unit has a character in it, you will get to reroll against the unit, not just the character, because they also gain the character keyword because of that. Yeah, and then also she gets to pick an enemy unit she's in engagement range with at the start of the fight phase, and every model in that unit subtracts the attacks characteristics of their melee weapons by 1. Obviously, it doesn't affect extra weapons, but it's pretty good. I've had that come into play against some super combat units, just being able to knock the attacks down by 1, having Nurglings or Fiends nearby for another -1. Sorry, for -1 to hit. If you've got the mask nearby, -1 to wound, and then she becomes a real pain in the ass to deal with, more than she already is. The keeper is more tough. I learned that at LGT running the keeper. I was like, she's far more tougher than Shaxi is. I guess because of the -1 to hit and the regaining wounds from Soul Stealer. Shaxi is still amazing. I keep looking at lists where I can try and fit in a keeper and Shaxi, because I just love the idea of the keeper running up, being a pain in the ass to deal with, not being killed, and then spitting Shaxi out 6 inches away, and she's going to charge into something she charges against because it's a monster character unit or vehicle. Yeah, it's just she's insane. She does so much damage. She is expensive, and I feel like you do need to know what you're doing with her. You kind of have to know when to go in at the right time. The positioning with her, I think her and Be'lakor are key together because Be'lakor can stay for longer with the Bathed in Shades, so she can't be shot outside of 18. Or can split her, well, spit her out 6 inches away as well. Yeah, I really, really like Shaxi. She's amazing. Nothing else does what she does to that level in our index. Also, the Knight matchup, Imperial and Chaos Knight, she kills at least 1,000 points. Every game from me, she always has done that. Every single Knight game I've played, whether it be Chaos or Imperial, every time this edition, she has killed at least 1,000 points. And that's not an over exaggeration. It is literal fact. I've gone into that game without her and hated my life. I had a Bloodthirster in one of those games. He couldn't even kill an Armiger because my Bloodthirster hates me. But no, I love Shaxi. I still think she's amazing. I can see why people wouldn't want to include her in a top 5, but she's good. So I do recommend, because of how many points she is, definitely get a lot of practice in with her, because if you throw her in wrong situation, and she is capable of going down in a turn sometimes, it where it is, you will that's a lot of points to lose. That's nearly a quarter of your list gone. So, and if she's not getting the most out of it, by killing enough stuff or killing enough points, then she's basically wasted. And against opponents, they are gonna do that because they know how good. So going on to number 2. So these, I would say you probably could have guessed 1 and 2. Obviously this is number 2. You can probably guess number 1. Now I feel like these could rotate depending on your preference. I'm putting them in at 2. I have slagged these guys off many times this edition. But at the same time, they've just been so good for me, as well as maybe not great. It's my problem with rolling 6-inch charges or 5-inch charges. It is my weakest skill in this game, and I proved that to people at the LGT doubles. That actually, I'm not making it up. I literally am incapable. If I need a 5 or a 6 to charge, I can make 7s, I can make 4s. I can't make 5s and 6s. And these guys like 5 and 6-inch charges. So, Blood Crushers, we know what they do. They charge something, they do a potential bunch of mortals. I've had these guys pick up Catan on the charge. I've had these guys do nothing on the charge. But also at the same time, I've had them go into units like an example a few months ago. They charge into a unit of Striking Scorpions, killed them on the impact hits, and then we were able to pile into a Autuck and then kill it in combat. Now, their combat can be quite naff, especially without Rem Masters, because they've only got 2 attacks at strength 5 minus 2 damage, because they're a bloodletter. And then they do have the 4 attacks with the Juggernaut Horns, which 6-1-1 with Lance for plus on the wound when they charge, which is actually pretty good, but it does hit on 4s. But the Bloodthirster does help that. He gives them +1 to hit, which is nice. These guys buffed with Rem Masters are really solid. But just in general, the thing I love about them is the T7, the 4-up invuln, 4 wounds apiece, the OC2. I just love being able to gum the board up with them, tag and tie things down and just be a pain because they are really, really tough. I don't like how restricted they can be by terrain and smart opponents. That's why you want to be deep striking them in my opinion, most of the time. That's why I don't like the 18. Not to say it doesn't work, it clearly works, that's been proven. Lists with 18 have done incredibly well. I'm just not a big fan of that many Blood Crushers. I've run 12 and liked them, but again, even for me, I just felt like I just didn't know what to do with the lack of space. But maybe that was just me and my playstyle. But I, at the moment, I'm swearing by that unit of 6 that I currently have in my list. And I keep trying to drop them and then being like, nope, I need them. And quite often, more than not, I am using them to kind of hit an objective and just gum things up, tag things up, be annoying, and just again, just be annoying. That is really what I want for. And then use the mortals if I can in certain areas. Sometimes I use them to weaken something at LGT when I had the keeper. I learned very fast that her damage was lacking into most of the unit or most of the abilities I was running into, which was a lot of tough as 10. So we I was using these guys to label some mortals onto something and then having her finish it off, which is, a common trick. I would say I'm not like I haven't created that. People do that. Weaken something with the Crusher mortals and then finish it off. I remember last year when I was just running Bellacore and then a bunch of little stuff. I was running unit 6 of these dudes. I think I had a few units of Fiends when they were like 30. I against Elder, I ran into the Inkpon. So I used them, I charged them, Bellacore, and Fiends into her to kill it. They done something like 7 mortal wounds to her and off Bellacore and the Fiends. Angron a few months ago, I ended up taking, I think it was, I had taken some wounds off him in shooting. He was on 6, not on 16, I think, Angron. He went down to, I think I got him down to 13. And then knocked him down to, I did 11 more wounds on the charge, knocked him down to 2, and I had some fiends go into him as well, and the one fiend got a wound through, which went through and killed him. But yeah, so I like, we all like Blood Crushers, they are one of our best units. I did generally up in Data Slate, they didn't, thankfully. The Rem Masters did, so it's hit the combo a bit, but for me, I haven't been running Rem Masters anyway. Didn't make a difference to me. I still think that combo is still worth the extra 15 points per Rem Master. I just think it's far too good. And then we're going to look at the number 1 unit, in my opinion. Yes, it is the Great Unclean One with the Endless Gift. With the Endless Gift specifically to give him the 4+ Feel No Pain. This guy is like, again, I see people say negative things. I swear by him, as do so many people. I think if you can get a unit out of your box and put it down on the sideboard or on the table, and most of the time your opponent's reaction is, oh, geez, then you know you've got something good, right? Because they just know it's going to be a pain. Now, he also has those games where he just, because 4-up saves go either way, right? Sometimes you either make all of them, make none of them. He does that twice. And he never, like, actually that's a lie. It does happen often where you make no invuns but make all your Feel No Pains, or make most of your invuns but no Feel No Pains. He is also capable of just being disappointing and falling over. He did it to me a few times last month. Just before LGT, practicing my first game, I went into Crons. My opponent was like, right, I'm going to have to put everything into him here. I'm not even going to kill him. And then my opponent killed him really fast. He was like, well, what happened? It was like, he just didn't want to play. But then at LGT, I played into GSC. All the mining lasers went into him. All the grenades, all the everything went into him, and he just sat there for 3 turns, going, ha, "No, I'm not dying." So he does both. I like to compare him the feeling that he gives to the feeling Angron has, because when your opponent or when a World Eater player rolls a 666 and Angron comes back, a really bad feeling for the opponent. If he doesn't ever roll the 666 and he never comes back, it's a really bad feeling for the World Eater player. It's the same thing for us with this guy. If he makes all fours, it's a really bad feeling for your opponent. Great for us. But if he makes none of them and he just falls over too fast, it's a horrible feeling because you're like, oh, that was my toughest unit and it died way too fast. But this guy just being able to run up to the middle, plonk himself down and go, cool, this is my objective now. I'm having, obviously, people will try and just lob units around onto objectives to deny him. He's got his D6+3 Flamer, so against weaker units like T3 stuff like Eldar and ESC and stuff, bad. I always try to keep him towards like the edge of the objective where the opponent can get to, so they have to charge him. I've been running him with the bowl blade, with the bowl sword, give more attacks and combat as well, and I've been liking that combination with the fact of just denying your opponent from just being able to tip onto the objective by having to charge him instead. And then also that -1 toughness debuff from Nurgle's Rot is really good. Against a lot of things like allowing Fiends to wound T6 now on 4s or T5 on 3s, same with Blood Crushers. Even in certain instances, like I had my keeper go into a Riptide. I used the -1 toughness from him on the Riptide, so it made it T8. I had the Master nearby, so now she's strength 8 with plus on the wound, so now she's winning on 3s, which was really nice. And then he gives a 6-up for Pain Aura to Nurgle units close to him. It's not bad. It will actually give Rotigas a Fauna Pain, who he should have an inbuilt Fauna Pain, but he doesn't, which is annoying. And then if you're not running this, if you're running another Ground Clean one, if you're running a Nurgle list, then they will just have a basic Fauna Pain as well, which is not terrible. But yeah, it's all about the Endless Gift Ground Clean. We love him. And I find a lot of opponents will go, no, I will deal with him later, or just won't touch him, which then basically gives you 3 points. Or they will just try and deal with him, and he just has those games where he just won't go away. And now the rest of your stuff's now just running around. I'm finding, I found Great Unclean and the Keeper with the Soul Stealer were just incredible tag team threats because they're both very tough, and having them sat in the middle of the board, fucking about with anything near them, your opponent aren't really. I mean, there are certain armies that can Sisters for one, Thousand Suns or another, but it's very hard to split your damage output out between these two and get them both, if either of them. And so really nice. And then if you chuck in Shaxi for that, and then Belloc hanging around to force your opponent to have to get closer, it's just really nice combination. Yeah, no, I mean the Grand Claim was amazing. I like him. The reason I put him at number 1 because I don't feel like he will. He definitely, I think, sits in the top 5 for people. I don't know if he sits at number 1 for most people, but for me, he's going to, just for the fact that this guy's scored me so many points, won me multiple games, and he's just really solid. He gives us something that we don't have a lot of, and that's just a reliably tough unit. I do find outside of him, outside of the standard keeper, outside of, to an extent, Blood Crushers, toughness is something we lack a little bit. So just nice having a unit, and he should be. He's a ground clean one. He should be this tough. So yeah, so that is my top 5. Like I said, I'm interested to hear what you think about my top 5, and then what is your top 5. And maybe we could have the same but rearranged units. You might have Blood Crushers at number 1, you or whatever, and the Renmaster might be higher on yours. So yeah, let me know. But yeah, like I think looking at us after the data slate going into this new meta, as we look at things like Thousand Suns, which was a natural predator, get smashed. Sisters get some changes, and they feel a lot more winnable now, but nowhere near as much as I thought they were going to get. Though we do know that they are going to get Miracle Dice changes sometime the next 2 months, with the next update that they confirm they're bringing out by the end of the year, and they confirm Miracle Dice are getting touched, so that's nice. Though I think we are about to hit potentially a horde meta with things like Fruit and GSC, Orcs, and so I find horde armies that can just put out a good amount of bodies, especially when they combat like Orcs, and we struggle. And it's annoying because we should be a horde army as well, or have the option to be a horde army, and we're just not. And it's really, really annoying. I hate it with an absolute passion. That's the way I like to play. And it's just really hard at the moment. I was really hoping they were going to hit battle line, give us some drops there, and they didn't, which is again annoying. But it is what it is. We just have to get on with it. I don't think a lot changes for us list wise until we start playing more of this meta. If we do start running into a lot of hordes, then maybe there are some units that we look into taking. I am going to touch up on that in a video, probably in a few weeks' time, talking about how to combat hordes with demons. We'll see. Let the first few weeks of this meta kind of unfold, and we'll get to it then. Of course, I think we've just had the Nurgle one happily come out, for the How to Build a Chaos Demon competitive list series that we do. So we just have Zinch left over, which I'm trying to G myself up to do because I love Zinch. Zinch is my favorite god and is in a sorry state right now. So every time I come thinking Zinch, find my motivation not to do it. So I need to force myself to film that. And then once we've done that, we've decided I'm going to split it up into 3 last parts: how to build a 1k list, how to build a 1500 point list, and how to 2k list. Yeah, so please, as we said earlier, leave a like and subscribe. It helps out massively. It allows me to keep doing this. Let me know down below in the comments, whether it be on Facebook or the video itself, your opinions on your top 5. You agree and disagree with mine. And check out Facebook and Instagram as always to keep up to date with everything Demon Lord, as well as keeping up to date with me in the Chaos Demon Facebook chat or Facebook group, because I'm incredibly active in there. And yeah, we will catch you all in the next one.